Sengoku Driver! Lock on! Matsumo clears! Shigeki in the shadow!
Hello YouTube, this is Charlie426, and today we have the review of the P-Bandai exclusive SHF Kamen Rider Kurokage. So this is basically SHF figure arts, and for those who know me, I am a big fan of Kamen Rider series, and I do enjoy buying and reviewing Kamen Rider SHF figure arts. So this one is called Kamen Rider Kurokage from the Kamen Rider Gaim series. For those who don't know or who hasn't watched Kamen Rider Gaim series, it's basically another Kamen Rider series, but the riders in the series are based on most of the riders are based on fruit. Yes, believe it or not, but still, yeah. So most of the riders are based on fruit, but there are some riders which are based on nuts, and the one you see in front of you, which is Kamen Rider Kurokage, is actually one of those riders that are based on nuts, which is, in this case, would be the pine seeds or pine cones or whatever they basically, yeah, it's one of those things. So I have been wanting to try a SHF figure from Kamen Rider Gaim series, and I have been trying to choose which one to try out. I mean, most of their prices aren't that bad, even the P-Bandai ones, except for a few. But recently there was this figure shop that I usually use was having a kind of a sale going on, and they were selling this guy for a little bit cheaper than usual, which is why I decided to go with it. Alright, so let's get on to the review. So let me get it off the stand. So the Kamen Rider Kurokage is actually, this one's a P-Bandai figure, but I believe Bandai actually did make prototypes for the Kurokage Troopers, which are basically mass production riders based on this guy. They're technically the same design, the only difference would be the belt straps. You can see the belt strap being yellow. The mass produced riders are actually have gray straps, and instead of and on the side here you can see there's like a sticker here which actually has the face of the rider. The mass-produced ones and the mass-produced belts don't have that, so yeah, that would be the only difference as far as I know. But according to the wiki, they say some parts of the color or some area of the rider of the Kurokage Troopers are kind of different, has a different color, but I really can't tell the difference. Alright, so let's see what we got in terms of components. So other than the rider itself, you also get the belt, which actually has this driver is actually called the Sengoku Driver, and then we have a lock seat, the opened up lock seat. So and then we also get, for some reason, is the closed up lock seat. So, and they did an excellent job on the details going on. I'm actually kind of surprised. Like, they can do this, but today, like, in terms of like Kamen Rider 01, for example, they don't really give out all the details on these kind of small parts. You can see the opened up section, and then you can even see the small weapon that's drawn on the lock seat as well. So I'm actually really surprised. The only thing I had like kind of was a downside was the sticker not being exactly on the place. You can see it's slightly tilted going on here, so I might need to peel that off or do something about that. And then number two is that when I first got the figure, this section of the side was kind of feeling loose, not in terms of like it was falling off, it was just the movement was a little bit too loose, so it wasn't able to stand on its own too well. So I had to like basically use some paint and a little bit of nail polish, and now it's back to normal. So I just said lock seat, but for those who don't know what lock seats are basically the main gimmicks of the Rider series. So these are basically the lock seat. This is a DX version, so basically you would press a button and you would open up the lock, and I don't have any batteries in here, but it would basically say the fruit name. In terms of, this is a grape, so in Japanese they would say budo, and then you put it on the belt, you lock it up, and then if you see the belt, there's kind of like a sword shaped thing going on there. You press it down and it would open up the lock seat, and then there would be a whole lot of sound and noise gimmicks going on here. And you can see the inside of the fruit, and then on the bottom is the weapon that this lock seat would give to the user. So yeah, they really did a good job in terms of that small detail going on here. So, other than the small lock seat, here are hands. So you get technically 6 hands in total, so 3 sets of hands. So currently I'm using the ones on the figure are the fists. And then in terms of these ones, number one, we get open hands, a set of open hands. Sorry about that. My phone was ringing. And so, as I mentioned, other than the set of open hands, we also get a set of multi-purpose hands, which in terms of in this case would be the hands for the weapons. So yeah, we get a set of those. And in terms of weapons, we get the only one main weapon for this rider, which is the spear, which I believe this is called the Kagematsu. So yeah, very basic looking spear, and yeah, they did a pretty good job in matching the style. Of course, if you can see, the rod may seem a little bit bent, because that would be because I've been using this for a while. I've been trying to pose with this figure, and I guess that would kind of cause it to slightly bend, but it's not a big deal at this point. Now this is the first user, because it obviously has the yellow strap. So there was the original user, which was, I think his name was Hase, and then he basically kind of dies, but not in terms of rider form. Basically, he picked a fight on a different powerful rider, and yeah, he got his belt destroyed. So yeah, but later in the series, this rider is mass produced with the gray straps, those riders also use a flamethrower. So I'm not sure if we're still going to get the Kurokage troopers in terms of SHF, but if they do, I would like to see them to come with the flamethrowers. Now I say flamethrower, but in the series they basically look like pistols with extra, the small pistols going on here. So yeah. All right, so let's see the articulation going on here. So once again, I think I picked a pretty good one for the first try, and I do want to maybe pick up 2 more from the series. Alright, so looking at the head, so this rider, obviously the design, other than the pine cone concept going on here, is basically based on the Japanese foot soldiers. So yeah, they did a pretty good job on the design as well. And looking at the yellow visor, I really like that color scheme going on, and that extra, that clear section going on as well. So really like that concept. So the head is actually pretty good. It can go, sorry about that. It can go down that much, and then up that much, and then 360 twist is actually possible without no problem. Usually in terms of today's riders, like a lot of figures actually you kind of have to force it, but this one actually has 0 issues going on here, so that's actually pretty good. Of course, because of the helmet design overall, going up might seem a little bit awkward, but still works. Now the shoulder armors, now they can move separately. So yeah, they have this extra ball joint section going on here that connects the armor, and then there's another joint that is on the shoulder itself. So you can move the armor up and down like that, and then kind of move them or rotate them slightly as well. If you don't rotate in the correct direction, they do tend to pop off. So yeah, I did have that issue with a different figure before. So with that, the arms can go about 90 degrees to the side, and then you can see there's another joint going on here, so you can rotate it like that. So forward and backward movement is possible like that. So here's without the armor colliding, and then here's with the armor. So yeah, you can see there is a shoulder movement going on here, and 360 twist. Oops, sorry about that. 360 twist is technically possible, but for now it's kind of tricky. And then we have these joints going on here, so we have a nice double jointed bend, and then we have a 360 twist on the arm itself. So once again, pretty good articulation, and your typical SHF style hand, which the ball joint is on the arm, not on the hand. Alright, now looking at the main body, we have a nice ab crunch going on here, so once again, pretty good. And then 360 twist, there is no 360 twist, and as you can see, in terms of Gundam or Gunpla, you would have like a part here which actually has another connection, but in this case, because being a human, only the top torso actually has the rotation and move, so keep that in mind. And then looking at the belt, they did an excellent job on the belt. As I mentioned, the Lockseed and the faceplate was a nice detail. And then the Sengoku driver does actually, you can pull it down as well. So yeah, I actually do have the Sengoku driver as well. So yeah. I believe if you can take the top section off, you are able to take off the belt if you want to do so, but I haven't tried that myself. Now looking at the size, we have the typical SHF style size going on here. So once again, we have a nice side swivel going on here, and then we can move to the side almost 90 degrees, slightly going down, but still I would technically count that as 90 degrees, and can go for less than 90 degrees because I think it's just the overall design of structure of this. And then back, not so much unless I do it in a very weird way, but still, yeah, back is not much of an option. And in terms of bend going on here, here once again we have a nice jointed bend, and then we have a feet that has a nice pivot joint. and then a little bit of a rotation on the lower section right over here. Actually, yeah, 360 rotation, and it can go up that well. And then we have a nice toe bend that goes up, not down this time. Yep. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure. Once again, it's your typical SHF figure articulation. Pretty good going on here. The only downside would be the legs tank that can't go to the back as well. One thing I should mention would be that, yeah, looking at the back section here, it looks like this can flip over, because the way how the rider transformation works is that you put on the belt, you press the knife down, and then basically there will be a giant fruit or representation block on the top that would be summoned, and then would go into your, would drop down to your head and then open up to form the armor. So this thing may look like it can kind of fold up, but no, it doesn't. So don't force it or you're gonna break it. And number two, when I first got this figure, this is not my first time happening, but these parts, the elbow joint or elbow armor parts, one of them actually fell off. So be careful when you're opening figures. It can happen. But of course, once you put it in, it doesn't actually fall off. So maybe it's just that it was never pushed in pretty well. And I believe that same thing can happen to the knee sections as well. Alright, so we've seen the basics of the figure. I'll be right back with the demonstration of the equipment. Okay, I'm back. So basically I did the typical foot soldier style spear holding pose, and I actually really like it. So once again, they did a really good job on the spear design as well. I mean, this part may look a little bit awkward to some people, but in terms of the spear itself, the blade, I think they did a pretty good job in the design. Very clean metallic look going on there. Once again, the main reason why I actually had to fix the side joint was that to be more specific, this side joint right over here, not the rotating part, but the part that moves to the side, would slide off way too easily, so it would not be able to stand like this at all. So yeah, actually, I'm actually glad that I was able to fix that as well. So once again, they did a pretty good job on the design. And for those who want to do like some other, signature poses like from the series, it is possible. So what I would like to do is like to get to hold the spear in one hand, push it all the way down, and then basically do something like this. So this would require a extra action base going on here. So basically what I like to do is when Hase actually transformed for the first time, and then he would basically use his finisher move for the first time on Kamen Rider Baron, I think, if I remember the series correctly, and then he would basically do a jump attack like this, something like that. He would do a jump attack and then hit the spear, or it's the tip of the spear on Kamen Rider Baron. So that was actually a pretty good move, if you ask me. And that's pretty much it for the review. So at this point, there are I would like to get a little bit more figures from Kamen Rider Gaim. I think most of at this point, my biggest candidates would be Kamen Rider Knuckle, which is basically another Nut Rider from the series, but instead of having the yellow belt stripe, he actually uses the mass-produced belts, and then is actually using the walnut Lockseed, which I do like walnuts. And then for Kamen Rider Baron, I would like to get his Lemon Energy arms, because he uses a different belt, because that is his upgraded form and has a more interesting weapon going on there. So yeah, those would be the two candidates going on here. And that's pretty much it for the review. So hopefully this review was helpful for those who are planning on getting this figure. I am actually enjoying these figure reviews, and I do like collecting these figures a lot. So yeah. Hopefully this review was helpful to you guys. If you guys got any questions or requests, comment below. I still have more stuff to buy and build and make reviews out, so please stay tuned. Until then, see you guys next time.